Hello physical fiends, how you doing? It's Jordan here with another physical discounts video. A few games I've seen for decent prices recently for all consoles. Links are down below if you want to purchase and support me at the same time. I greatly appreciate that ever so much. First, let's start with Video Games Plus, who, as you know, have free worldwide shipping if you purchase anything over 80 Canadian dollars, about 60 American bucks. In fact, the prices I mentioned here will all be in US dollars. I've converted them for you, so when you click on their site, it will look a bit different at first, unless you click the change the currency icon at the bottom. Let's get on with it. Being home alone with you is worse than death. Sounds like the best comeback anyone can give during a heated argument, but actually this is a triple pack of games where they cleverly melded the names together. We have Home, we have Alone With You, and Worse Than Death, 3 adventure games in one. This was originally distributed by Limited Run Games, but VGP now have copies for a very reasonable price of $22 US on Nintendo Switch. I think that's a pretty sweet deal and much better than the original asking price. Forgive Me Father has a small discount but a worthy one, now at $25 US on Nintendo Switch. This is a European exclusive physical release and was originally rather difficult to get a hold of. I had so many people asking me where they could buy this game. Well, now thanks to reprints, it's readily available and now discounted to a decent price. This is an old school FPS with religious themes and it looks awesome. Horror Tales: The Wine is another horror game. I wonder if there's like a connection here. And this one was also distributed by Limited Run Games, but you couldn't get it for 22 bucks from them, unlike now where you can from VGP. This is a first-person horror game that I believe was made by just one dude primarily, and supposedly very good as you tried to get some medicinal wine for some sort of disease. I can't remember exactly, but something like that. You are stalked by a dude trying to protect his booze, like you can't blame him. And this is for Nintendo Switch. Moving over to the PlayStation 4 briefly, you can get the exceptional Bioshock Collection, 3 amazing games in one for $14.50. I think it's probably been around that price before, but at less than $5 per game, I think any less and you're pretty much stealing at that point. It's also discounted on the Switch for like $22, but that physical has a mandatory download for all 3 games, so yeah, the PS4 is preferable if you actually like ownership. Dollhouse is a commendable horror game that's discounted on Nintendo Switch to $22 US. I love the style that it's going for, very neo-noir, almost like Bioshock now I'm thinking about it. Not the best, but still an interesting one to play around this time of year. ETERNIGHTS, I literally just made a video about the Switch version, which is releasing physically like today, but VGP have the older PS4 and PS5 physicals discounted to just $14.50. Sadly, the PS5 version has sold out, and the PS4 version is almost sold out. So by the time I actually publish this video, it might be gone, sorry about that. But if you have the option, it's probably better to play the game on these consoles rather than the Switch. I mean, the Switch is fine, but you know, the PlayStation has 60 frames rather than 30, so it's technically better. Tormented Souls is another interesting horror game. It's discounted on both Switch and PlayStation 5 to $22 and $14.50 respectively. Again, despite being cheaper, you're definitely better off with the PS5 version on this one. The Switch had some heavy cuts and changes to get it running, and it was pretty much scraping itself over the acceptable mark. Maybe some would consider it unacceptable, but performance aside, it's a good horror game that reminds me of the Resident Evil remake, like the GameCube one. White Day, a Labyrinth named school, is down to $22 on both Switch and PlayStation 5. This is a port of a cult classic horror game from Korea. I haven't played it myself, but it's one of those stalker games and is well loved by those who did play it back in the day. I do want to, try it myself one day in the future, and at this price, it's very, very tempting. Now, the Outbreak series, I have to say, mostly piles of crap. Crap that's been pumped out over the years, preying on the nostalgia, like promising old school Resident Evil, but delivering old school rushed jank. But I know some people do look on these fondly as like schlocky games to have fun with. There are 3 physical releases, each of which are now going for a very reasonable $22 US, way better than they initially asked for. Part 1 even has 2 cover variants, and so does Contagious Memories. Part 2 has just 1 cover. Now together, these 3 cartridges have 5 games within them. Do I recommend them? No! This is mostly for collectors who are trying to, grab games at reasonable prices. Alright, let's move over to PlayAsia. Now, sadly, due to some like site-wide sale and promotion they've got going on, my discount code doesn't work for like these games, so yeah, sorry about that, but they've still got some good deals regardless of the discount code not working. They have Young Souls for an incredible $9 at PlayAsia. That's for the Japanese version, which still plays in English on Nintendo Switch. Don't need to worry about that. So if you want to beat 'em up mixed with an RPG, that is a really, really good price. It's kind of hard to resist $9 for a Switch cartridge. Maid of the Dead has a small discount, 20%, bringing it down to a tasty $26 on Nintendo Switch. This is an import exclusive, only released in Asia, but it does have English. In fact, this is the English cover version. This is like Vampire Survivors, but with better presentation. You know what I'm talking about. It also has VN-style storytelling between the action with big, buxom ladies. You know, this game's got a bit of culture about it. Phoenix Wright Trilogy, another import exclusive on Nintendo Switch. It's been cheap recently, but now it's down to $21 US. Personally, if you haven't played these games already, I think you're missing out. This is an essential package to own if you don't own them anywhere else. Incredible games for an incredible price. Romancing Saga 3 is another import exclusive, but this time I'm only talking about PlayStation 4. The Korean version, which does play in English, is a very tasty $19. Not bad for a retro JRPG that had previously never been translated into English. Sadly, there's no discount on the Switch version for this one. Okami, that's often had a decent price in the past year or so, but you know, $21 for this import exclusive Switch version is 100% worth it if you don't already have it in your collection like elsewhere. It's just a classic game that's unmissable for the price. I do remember it being like $20 before, but you know, $21 is not that much difference. IGS Classic Arcade Collection has a small discount on Nintendo Switch. This import exclusive release is $29, which is a good price for 8 awesome arcade games in one. I really like this package. I'd been asking for a physical release for a good while, and it's already been discounted after a few months. That's a very solid price for some very solid arcade games. Moero Crystal H is $30. This is a PlayAsia exclusive release that has English, and it is one of the most popular imports of all time, like definitely in the top 10, because you're all a bunch of pervs. I mean, awesome people who like RPG dungeon crawlers where all the enemies are shaped like exciting parts of the human body. It's a very cultured game with actual good gameplay to go alongside it. Unreal Life is just $17 on Nintendo Switch, and that's a perfect price for a short, sweet adventure game. And even better is that it's not actually that short. It doesn't follow the normal 2 to 3 hour runtime that most of these games do. This is more like 7 hours, so yeah, it has a bit of meat to it. Very unusual for this type of game, so you're definitely getting your money's worth. It's an import exclusive that plays in English. The Dragoness Command of the Flame is now a tempting $17 US. This is also an import exclusive with English. Not exactly the best received game ever, especially as a strategy RPG similar to Fire Emblem, but it's got a hot babe on the cover. I bought this for $25 originally, and you know, 17, that would have felt a lot nicer. And there we have it, guys, a few discounts that have really caught my eye. What about you? Will you be picking up any of these? Now, this video is not all of them. Like, I couldn't possibly say all of the discounts available, so please make sure you click the link down below and have a browse through all the discounts. I've linked like the whole lot of them. Maybe there's something else that's taking your fancy, and it is also a fantastic way to support me and this channel ever so much, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart. I hope you all have a fantastic day. Take care.